Good evening. Am I audible to all of you? Okay. Yes. Right. So let us start. Now, this is session number 4, and today we are going to complete all questions that have appeared in XAT and CAT. So today also, every single question that you will be solving, it is going to be from previous papers. There are a total of 15 questions today, so we'll take 5 questions at a time. We'll start with question number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Question 1, 2, and 3, they are from the same passage. They're kind of difficult. And then we have question number 4, question number 5. So in the first round, let us solve question number 1 to question number 5. 15 minutes is going to be the time. So 6:26, around 6:20, 6:25, we'll start the discussion. Please start. Question 1 to question number 5. Okay. I think there is sufficient time. We should check. Question number 1, 2, and 3, they are based on this passage. And what does this passage tell you? This passage says that when you talk about probability of death, whenever you talk about probability of death, then you will always you should not think of an individual. Okay, you will always have to think of a certain class as a whole. You cannot calculate probability of death of a single person. You can calculate probability of death of a class as a whole. So when you say probability of death, you will say all insured men who are 41 years old, who live in a given country, and they're not engaged in certain dangerous occupations, they have certain probability of death. So he reiterates this. He says a probability of death is attached to the class of men, okay, or to another class that can be defined in a similar way. But the key word is it has to be a class, it has to be a group. You can say nothing about probability of death of an individual, even if you know his condition of life and health in detail. And that is why he believes that the phrase probability of death, when it refers to a single person, it has no meaning at all, because probability, according to him, can only be calculated for a class. It cannot be calculated for an individual. Based on this understanding, he is asking you question number 1. Which of the following conclusions can be drawn from the passage? Number 1, singular, non-replicable events can be assigned numerical probability value. Can you calculate the probability value of events that are singular or non-replicable? No. He told you when you talk about something which is single, okay, when you talk about something that is single, probability concept is not valid. So number 1 is not right. Number 2, probability calculations will require data of the class of people or of events. Yes, this is what he tells you. Now, number 3 is tricky. He says, whatever data you have about a class of events, on that basis, you can make a prediction of any specific event. Can we make a prediction of a specific event? If I know the probability of death of 40-year-old people, if I say the probability of death is 38%, then can I make an accurate prediction of Mr. X? Mr. X, who's an individual who is 40 years old, can I say that his probability is 38%? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even if we know his condition of life and health in detail, still the probability of death of an individual, the concept of probability is not applicable for an individual, and that is why number 3 is not right. Only 2 is right. Answer is 2. I hope everybody marked 2. Anyone who has any issues here? Okay. Yes, Nikita, what is the problem in 3? I thought any specific event means things apart from. Yeah, any specific event means anything. A specific event like death, a specific event like marriage, a specific event like childbirth, anything. But you cannot make predictions about any individual. Okay, whether it is death, whether it is marriage, whether it is college education, whether it is childhood, nothing. So, in whatever sense you take it, number three cannot be right. So, question number one, answer is number two. Now, this is not very challenging. Now, second question becomes challenging for many people because on the basis of the same information, he is asking you question number two, which of the following statements would the author disagree to the most? What will he disagree to the most? Now, let us understand before we come to the options, let us understand what he wants to say. He says that whenever you calculate probability, you will need information about a class as a whole. Okay, you individual one, if you have one piece of information, that is not going to give you information about probability. If you have lots of information, you have information about class as a whole, you have information from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all these sources, then you can club them and you can calculate probability. So author will disagree that you can calculate probability based on individual data. Yes or no? For calculating probability, you will require data of a group, of a class as a whole. Now let's see. Based on this information, he says the outcome of a boxing match to be held in Los Angeles between two boxers, Joe and Mark, belonging to two different boxing clubs, can be analyzed and an outcome can be assigned a numerical value. If what will he disagree? If two boxers, Joe and Mark, they are fighting a boxing match, they are in a boxing match. Now I can analyze and I can predict the outcome. I can actually assign a numerical value. I can make some predictions. If what do you think? What have you marked? Okay, some people have marked one, some people have marked three, five, four. Everybody has marked everything, right? Okay. I think the answer for this question is one. Answer for this question is one. Why? Because in number one, you have individual information. You have information about these two players, you know the fitness levels and strengths of these two players. On the basis of that, you want to find out the probability. You want to assign a numerical value. But in the passage, he told you, even if you know a person's condition of life and health in detail, you cannot calculate probability. So for question number two, number one, author will disagree that you can calculate probability if author will disagree that you can calculate probability if experts analyze the boxer's current fitness levels and their strength. Okay, this is actually going to be right. This is what he is going to be. He is going to disagree. Why he's going to disagree? Because over here he will get two sets of information: one fitness level of Joe and fitness level of Mark. This is this is actually two sets of information that he will be relying on. Other options, if you look at other options, in other options there is more than two sets of information that you'll have more information on the basis of which you can calculate probability value. For example, in number five, when you analyze the outcome of fights between the two boxers at the same venue in Los Angeles. So these are two boxers. They have fought, let's say, 10 times. If they have fought 10 times, so you have information of 10 events. Yes, these two boxers are involved, but when you analyze the outcome of fights, you have 10 pieces of information. Over here, you have only two pieces of information: Joe's health and Mark's health. Okay, the same thing happens in number four. In number four, if you make a comparison of outcomes of fights between the two boxers against same opponents, so these are two boxers, Joe and Mark, opponents. Let's say they have two opponents each. If they have two opponents each, or one, even if they have one, one opponent each, still you will have four pieces of information here. So in 2, 3, 4, and 5, in 2, 3, 4, and 5, the information level that you have is more than the information that you have in number 1. If you look at number 3 also, somebody wants to mark number 3. Number 3, if you analyze the fights between the two boxers at different venues. Now these two boxers, they have fought at different venues and they are fights. That means they're not two fights. Probably they have fought for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So you have information data for three instances, 4 instances, 5 instances. It is only number 1. In number 1, you have the least level of information. Others give you the most information. They give you a lot of information or more information than you're going to get in number 1. That is why author will disagree that you can calculate a probability value. You can calculate a numerical value if you know about boxer's current fitness level and the strength. Did you understand? If there is anyone who did not understand, please ask. If it's not clear, it's not absolutely clear, please ask. We are in no rush. Okay, great. So if you are comfortable with question number 2, automatically you will know what should be the answer for question number 3. He is going to disagree that you can calculate probability based on individual or few pieces of information, because according to him, the more instances of information you have, the better probability calculation you can make, right? In question number 3, he's reversing the question and he says author will will agree most to what? He will agree that the more the number of information you have, the more instances of information you have, the more is going to be the ease with which you can calculate probability. So which option gives you the most information? Which option gives you the most information? Tell me. Is it 4 or is it 2? Is it 4 or is it 2? Okay. Please understand. In number 4, you have information about two boxers, and these two boxers are fighting against the same opponent. Is this more diverse information or a fight between the boxers belonging to the two clubs? Now, there can be any number of boxers. There can be 20 boxers, and both the clubs means there are total of 40 boxers, right? 40 boxers. But in number four, what happens? In number 4, there are two boxers, and they are both fighting with same opponent. That means you have two match. That means four. So you are analyzing 4 matches. Whereas in number two, because you are just saying that you will analyze the fights between the boxers that belong to the two clubs. There can be any number of boxers. There can be 20, 30, 40, 50, any number of boxers. So it is number 2. It is number 2 that will give you the most number of events. The most number of events you are going to get in all probability from option number 2, and that is why the author will agree that you can find out, you can assign a numerical value to the outcome of a match that is being held between two boxers, Joe and Mark, because number 2 will give you the most information. Did you understand? Anybody has any doubt, please ask. Please go through these questions. If you have any doubt, ask. Okay, very, very good. Very good. Number 4. Uh, Avinash, what about 3? Okay. If I analyze the outcomes of fights between the two boxers, yeah, but then these are two boxers only. Two boxers at different venues. So these are two boxers only, right? And over here, the more diverse information you have, the better is the better you can calculate probability. Yeah, venues can be many, but there are only two boxers. There are only two boxers. So you need, see, for probability calculation, you need information for a class as a whole, right? So number 3, you're only talking about two boxers, and in number 2, you're talking about boxers as a class. You're not restricted to just two boxes. So in fact, 3, 4, and 5, they should not be the answers because they are restricted to two boxes. Even though 3, 4, and 5 are going to give you more information than you're going to get in number one. Number one, you have only two pieces of information. 3, 4, 5, you can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 pieces of information, but this information is going to be restricted to just two boxes. Number two, in number two, you are going to have more than two boxes, so it's more representative of a class as a whole. Okay. Nikita, 3, 2 combines 3, 4, 5 means I did not understand. Rohan, but sir, we have to predict about that specific over means no, you don't have to predict about you don't have to make a prediction about the specific boxer. You want to calculate the probability of the outcome of this match. What is going to be the outcome of this boxing match, which is being held between these two players? Okay, you want to assign a numerical value. You want to assign a probability. So he told you, what did he tell you? He told you if you want to calculate probability, always think of the class as a whole, right? Class as a whole. So which which option is giving you information of class as a whole? Ask yourself. Number two, yes. Sai fights between same opponents gives more accurate probability. Yeah, it's a fight between two boxers against same opponents, but there are only two boxers. You're only concentrating on two boxers and their opponents. So aren't you restricting yourself to these two boxers? Whereas in number two, whereas in number two, there is no restriction. You're looking at boxers that belong to the two clubs. They can be these two boxers and other boxers as well. So which is going to be more which is going to be better data for the probability calculation? Which is which is going to give you information about a class as a whole? Number four, I told you 3, 4, and 5. Whatever information you have is going to be restricted to these two players, these two pugilists, boxers. Whereas in number two, you have information about more than two boxes. So number two is better. Okay. Should we move to 4 and 5? Because I think 4 and 5 were not difficult. Okay. So he's telling you that when you look at filmmakers, they highlight emotions. How? With visuals. Rather than dialogue, they use visuals. But when you look at playwrights, they use dialogue, they use words. Okay? Now, images are the stuff that films are made of. Normally, you see that in a film, what is more important is the image, that is the visuals. Nevertheless, even though visuals are important, there have been many successful films that have been made from stage plays and they contain little else than one location or one stage set. So even though majority of the films, they rely on visuals, there have been successful films that are based just on dialogue. Okay, so over here he is concluding, the conclusion that he's making is that there have been successful films that have where the most important part is not the visual but the dialogue. Okay, they have just one location or one stage set. That means they don't rely so much on visuals. They don't emphasize on visuals. They emphasize more on. They have been made from stage plays. Stage plays means they are tending towards dialogue. So this is what he says, and the question is asking you the option which is most opposite to the idea in the paragraph. He says you can make successful films by using dialogue only. There's no need for visuals. What is opposite? to the idea in the paragraph? Number three, yes. How is it number one, Rohan? Number three, films are solely built upon visual and eye-catching scenes. If I say this, then immediately I'm opposing what you are saying, because you say that there have been successful films that do not contain any visuals or do not contain many visuals. Rohan, he said this in the very first line. Film, what? That films are not necessarily a filmmaker's medium. How? Where did he say this? That films are not necessarily a filmmaker's medium. A filmmaker usually will use visuals and not dialogue. Okay? They emphasize more on visuals and not dialogue. That is what he says in the very first line. So from here, is this? I mean, when I say films are not necessarily a filmmaker's medium, is this opposite to the idea? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. Number three, because the conclusion is that you can make successful films even if you don't rely on visuals. That is what he's trying to prove. You can rely just on dialogues. You don't need to rely on visuals. You can make successful films. So I'm opposing him by saying films are solely built upon visual and eye-catching scenes. Question number 4, answer is 3, and question number 5. The increase in the number of reality shows on television channels bolsters the contention that channel owners are more interested in boosting the revenues by pandering to voyeuristic tendencies of viewers. The premise behind the above argument is that. Now, see, he says the premise behind the above argument means he's asking you what is the reason? What is he assuming? What is the premise behind the above argument? What is he assuming? What is this guy assuming? Tell me. He says reality shows have increased. Reality shows have increased means channel owners, they are interested in what? Increasing revenues, increased revenues. Just a minute. They are interested in increased revenues. Okay. So reality shows are increasing and revenues also are increasing because they want to boost the revenue. That is why channel owners, what do? They rely on reality shows. Okay, so what is he assuming? Can you tell me? Uh, Channel owners, they can influence what is watched by the viewers. Okay, is this what he's assuming? No, no, he's not. See, channel owners are trying to boost their revenues. They're trying to boost their revenues, and in order to boost their revenues, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're increasing reality shows. So what does this mean? What does this mean? This means no, not three, it's four. It means that reality shows make more money than other types of programs. That is why, in order to boost the revenues, they are increasing number of reality shows. Otherwise, they would have increased some other show. If reality shows do not make more money than other types of programs, and channel owners want to boost the revenue, then they would have concentrated on some other kind of show. He's assuming that reality shows make more money than all other types of programs. That is why if you want to boost your revenue, concentrate on reality shows. Okay. Number three is not right because number three is stated. Number three is not right. Why? Because it's stated. Reality shows on television appeal to the basic instinct of viewers. This is what he says. What do channel owners want to do? They want to pander. Pander means cater, fulfill. Yes, pander. Pander means cater or fulfill. Wait, I'll have to explain this because these are words that you will need to remember for a long period of time. Now, when you pander, isn't premise something that is stated? Yeah, but the premise behind the above arguments. Okay, what he has done is that he has over here we see a play on words, right? So the premise of the above argument would mean that the stated premise. But when he says the premise behind means it is hidden assumption. Okay, pander. When you pander, that means you cater, right? You cater and you fulfill. But you cater or you fulfill what? You cater or you fulfill something that is kind of negative. You are providing the services, you are catering or you are fulfilling um, to the base desires of human beings, right? Now voyeuristic, who's a voyeur? Peeping Tom, yes, Peeping Tom, all of us know Peeping Tom. The pronunciation of this word is wire. It is not wire. It is wire. Wire is a peeping Tom, right? And voyeuristic. We human beings, we have voyeuristic tendencies. That means we want to look into the personal lives of others. We want to look into the personal lives of others. This is the basic instinct. Yes, this is a basic instinct, right? We have voyeuristic tendencies. This is a basic instinct. We want to look into the private lives of others, and reality shows they show the private lives of human beings. So they are pandering to our voyeuristic tendencies. Okay, this is what he's trying to say. So yes, they appeal to the basic instincts of viewers. Voyeurism, Siddhant. If you are indulged in voyeurism, then yes, you are trying to fulfill your basic instinct. You want to look into the private lives of others, especially the sexual life of other people. That is voyeurism. Okay. So question number 5 answer is going to be yes of viewers, right? Voyeuristic tendencies of viewers, not the channel owners. That is why they show us reality shows because we would like to see what they do in the washrooms. We would like to watch what they do in the kitchen. We would like to watch what they do in the bedroom. So these are our voyeuristic tendencies, and that is what they try to pander to. Okay. So answer is going to be 4 for question number 5. Please take a look. Anything you did not understand, please ask. Are you comfortable with this kind of level? Because this is the kind of level you can expect in XAT. Okay? Okay. This is the kind of level that you can expect in XAT. CAT level is slightly lower, but XAT. Okay. So let's come to the next 5 questions from 6 to 10. Yeah, 6 to question number 10. Please take a look. And what is the time? It is almost 6:50 right now, 15 minutes. 7:05, we will start the discussion. 6 to 10. Please start. Okay. I think we should check. That is sufficient time. Question number 6. Question number 6 says, perhaps this war will pass like the others which divided us, leaving us dead, killing us along with the killers. But the shame of this time puts its burning fingers to our faces. Who will erase the ruthlessness hidden in innocent blood? From this verse, which of the following is certainly not implied? What is not implied? See, number 1 is implied. Killers, they also get killed in war. This is implied. This war is ruthless. Yes. None can obliterate the ruthlessness of this war. Yes. When he's asking the question, who will erase the ruthlessness hidden in innocent blood? What is the meaning? He's trying to say that it is so ruthless, it is so ruthless that it cannot be obliterated. Obliterate means erase. This war is shameful, yes. So never does he say that humanity gets divided by war and reunites after peace. This is something which he never says. Yes, it's a rhetorical question, absolutely. Option number 5, who will erase the ruthlessness hidden in innocent blood? This is a rhetorical question. It's a rhetorical question. He does not want an answer. He's through the question, he's emphasizing the fact that it is so ruthless that nobody can erase it, nobody can obliterate it. Absolutely. So answer is number 2. Why number 2? Because this part that humanity reunites afterwards in peace, this is something which is not implied. Question number 6, answer is 2. Number 7, impressions are direct, vivid, and forceful products of immediate experience. So when you experience something immediately, then that experience is called impression. Ideas are merely feeble copies of these original impressions. That means when you recollect about these impressions later, then they are called ideas. That is what he's trying to say. Okay. So if I see a toy right now, immediately when I see it, then my first sight is going to be called an impression. But if let's say after 10 days, I'm thinking about this toy. When I think about this toy, then what is happening? Then that is called an idea. That is an idea. That is not an impression. I have already had an impression. So before you have an idea, you have to have impression, isn't it? That is what he's trying to say. So if we assume the above statement is true, which of the statements will logically follow from it? Every impression will lead to an idea. Is that necessary? No. Every impression will necessarily lead to an idea. That is not true. Ideas must follow from an antecedent impression. Yes, that is what he's trying to say. Ideas are just copies of impressions. That means before you have an idea, there has to be an impression. So this is true. Number 3, the color of the 2011 XAT test booklet right in front of a candidate is an impression. Yes. Whereas the memory of the color of the television set is an idea. Yes. Correct. Number 3 is right. What is wrong in number 3? Why have you people marked number 3 answer? No. Number 3 is not right because statement number 3 is also right. When the color that is in front of you, that is impression. But when you are recollecting about your television set, the color of the television set is an idea. That means you've already seen it. And now you are recollecting it. There's a memory. Means the impression has already been done. Right? So number 2 is right. Number 4, if one was interested in origin of the idea of the color of a television set, then one needs to understand the impressions from which this idea was derived. Yes, absolutely. If you want to understand the idea of something, not just the color of a television set, if you want to understand any idea, then you will need to understand the impression from which that idea was derived. Yes, that's true. So 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. These 3 are correct, which means answer is going to be 4. Um, Avinash, color of a TV set? No. Color of a TV set means the TV set is black or blue or red in color. TV set is blue in color, red in color, black in color, white in color. When she has the memory of the color of a television, that means she has already seen the television at home, and now she's recollecting. Okay, Hima, what is your question? But the impression given is not the antecedent to the idea. In which statement? In number 3? No, please understand. Okay, Over here, there are two things that he's talking about. The test booklet that is right in front of you, what is that? That is direct. That is direct experience, isn't it? Because that is you are directly seeing the booklet, so that color is an impression. But now you have a television set at your home. You must have seen the television set at your home. You know what is the color of the television set. If you now recollect the color of the television set, that means you have already seen the television set. There has already been a direct experience with the television set. Now, when you recollect its color, you are only copying from the original impression. Original impression is going to happen only once. Okay, so when you say that the color of my television set is green, means you have already seen it home, and now you are recollecting the color. That is an idea. Okay, Hema. So that is why answer for this question number 7 is going to be 4. Anybody has any doubt, please ask. Okay. Question number 8 and 9 are based on this conversation between two friends, Paradox and Herodox. So what does Paradox say? Paradox tells you that the human body is nothing but the tomb of the soul. Okay? It is a tomb of the soul, and if you want to know reality, you have to overcome the outward appearance. You have to overcome the body if you want to know reality. Why? Because reality is something which can neither come into existence nor it ceases to exist, for it is always for it always is. Reality is something. Reality is a part of being. Being means it's always there. Okay, it is unmoved and undisturbed. Thing the reality does not move. It is not disturbed. Those things that move or experience disturbance, they actually belong to the realm of becoming. Realm of becoming. Becoming means changing. If something is becoming, that means it is changing. And if it is changing, then according to him, the changing world is that of unreality. The changing world is something which is not real, because true reality is the state of being. The state of being means there are no changes. You just exist. You are there. That's it. Did you understand till now? So what is reality according to Paradox? According to Paradox, reality is that thing which does not change. Reality is that thing which is always present. Reality is that thing that which has always existed. Okay, it is not going to cease. It never came into existence because it has always been there. It is unmoved and undisturbed. Those things that move, those things that experience disturbance, they belong to the realm of becoming. That means they belong to the changing world, which is unreal. He says motion and change, because motion and change belong to the realm of becoming, they do not have any separate existence of their own, and that is why they are logically inconsistent with reality. They are not realities, and that is why they are not worthy of study. That is why we should not study motion and change, because motion and change are not things that are real. That is what Paradox says. According to Herodox, now Herodox's views are kind of antithesis of Paradox's view. According to Herodox, everything is in a state of perpetual flux. Everything changes. Nothing remains static. Nothing remains the same. And according to Paradox, reality will always remain the same. It will never change. So Herodox and Paradox, they are talking opposites. According to Herodox, all the things will always change. Permanence and the concept of being is only an illusion, according to Herodox. There's going to be change and continual transformation. In this world, you're going to see change and continual transformation. You are going to see the conflicts, you're going to see survival of the fittest. This is the underlying principle of work in the universe. That is the reality according to Herodox. Okay, everything, everything comes from this principle that Things are not static, they change. And that is why, if you study human activity through the lens of an idealized state of being and as a basis for formulating moral codes of conduct, it is going to be inappropriate. So, when you study human activity, do not look at human activity from a rigid angle, do not look at it from a static angle, from an idealized state. No, that is not the reality because everything changes in the real world. That is what Herodox is saying. So they have absolutely opposite ideas. Okay, they have absolutely opposite views on what is reality. And based on this conversation, he asks you question number 8. Which of the following statements could be considered as logically consistent with the views of Paradox in the above paragraph? According to Paradox, things that move and change, they are not real. Things that move and change, they are not real. Number one, a fly is traveling on a flying arrow. That means this object is moving. This object is moving. Whether you perceive it to be at rest or whether it is really at rest, that is immaterial. But this arrow is flying, it is moving. According to Paradox, does the flying arrow belong to the realm of being? No. Realm of being means something that is static, something that is the reality. No. Whether you perceive it to be at rest, that is immaterial. But it's in reality, it's flying, it's moving, right? So number one is not right. Number two, the activities of the day-to-day life are concerned with the unreal part of human existence. Yes. And hence, they should not be subject to moral standards. Now, partially correct, partially we don't know. Whether they should be subject to moral standards or not, this is something for which we have no information. We know that activities of day-to-day life, they are unreal part of human existence according to Paradox. Because in this question, we are only looking at the views of Paradox. But does that mean that we should not subject the activities of day-to-day life should not be subject to moral standards? Can't say. We can't say. So number two is not right. Maintaining a balance. Okay. What could be considered as logically consistent with the views of Paradox? What could be logically consistent? So number two is not logically consistent. Yes or no? Why? Because he never talks about moral standards. Paradox never talks about moral standards. It is Herodox who talks about moral standards. We can go back and check. Herodox talks about moral standards. Yeah, it is partially correct, but still it's not correct. Partially correct are incorrect. Because partially correct is incorrect. It could be, okay? Yeah, it could be, but no, please understand. If I mark number two correct, then I will be making an assumption. I will be making an assumption, and I don't like assumptions. Okay. Whether it should be subject to moral standards or not, I will have to assume that yes, they should be subject. Somebody can assume that no, they should not be subject to moral standards. We don't know. We don't know whether moral standards are things that change or they are fixed. We don't have any information. So how can we say that it can be logically consistent with the views of Paradox? Okay. So that is the reason why number two is not right. Number three also has a problem. He's asking you to maintain a balance. Maintain a balance means there's going to be movement. There's going to be movement. If you are maintaining a balance among the various constituents of society, it is essential to the well-being and continuing existence of the soul. But maintaining a balance means movement, disturbance. No, number three is not right. It's not right. Number four, conflicts and the coming of spontaneous order do not have any underlying causes that are relevant for study, as the notion of perpetual flux itself is erroneous. Right? This is what he says. This is what he says: spontaneous order, conflicts, comings and goings. All these things have no underlying causes, and that is why they are not relevant for study, because perpetual flux, the concept of flux is erroneous. According to paradox, everything is static. Nothing changes. That is the reality. Number four is right. Okay. Number five, the real is and cannot be non-existence. Reality is one and unique. Yes. What is the reality? Reality is the soul. Everything else that you see, it is just an appearance. The body that you see is appearance. It does not change. Reality does not change. It is the same. It is always being. On that basis, I'm saying it is unique. So the real is and cannot be non-existent. That is also right. So I think four and five will make sense. We should mark number three as the answer. Please check. Real is. The real is. That means the real is means it exists. Yeah. You are actually reading. These are two things that he's saying. The real is, that means the reality exists, and it cannot be non-existent. Reality cannot be something that is dead. It cannot be dead. It exists. When it started to exist, we can't say, because it has always existed. Okay? It cannot be non-existent means it cannot be dead. Reality is always there. It cannot be dead. Okay. So this is what is going to be the answer for question number 8. 4 and 5 will be logically consistent with what paradox is trying to say. Anybody has any doubt here? Please ask. Number 9. Which of the following statements will best represent an implication of Herodox's ideas? If you agree with what Herodox has to say, what will this mean? What will this mean? According to Herodox, everything changes. Everything changes. There's always conflict. There's always survival of the fittest. So reality is never fixed. Okay, reality is never fixed. No, answer cannot be 2-1. Answer for this question is 5. Okay, if I believe in what Herodox says, that means there is no notion of time space invariant reality. Time and space are invariant. Time and space are invariant, means they don't change. That is the reality. Such kind of a reality has no scope, right? Why? Because there can be numerous realities across time and across human cultures and civilizations, depending on how you adjust and adapt and survive. Number 5 is right. Number 5 is what Herodox would agree to. He will. This is the implication that comes from Herodox's ideas. Now let us take a look at other options. Number 1, some people have marked 1. Religion and other approaches that stress on maintaining and developing the purity of the human soul are subjects that do not merit serious attention. Why? If you develop, if you maintain, there is constant change, there is constant flux. According to Herodox, if something changes, if there is flux, it is reality. So, how can you say they do not merit serious attention? According to Herodox, such kind of things are important. Number 1 is wrong. Number 2, the setting of moral standards and codes of governance have to be more procedure oriented, with a focus on the way humans conduct themselves in the interactions with each other. How will we set moral standards and codes of governance? How will we, should they be more procedure oriented? Is that what Herodox will believe? No. According to him, different situations will require different kinds of basis on which you are going to set moral standards. So it cannot be procedure oriented. It cannot be fixed. Procedure oriented means there's a standard set. According to Herodox, no standards can be set because things continuously change. Number 2 is not right. Number three, maintaining a balance between various constituents of the society and conflict prevention. It is essential to the maintenance of social order and it is a prerequisite for governance. Partially correct. This part, till the word prevention, that we have to maintain a balance. There's always going to be change and we'll have to make adjustments, adapt. We have to adapt and adjust. That is all right. But is this balance essential if you want to maintain social order? Can't say. Can't say. According to him, reality is that thing which changes. According to him, reality is that thing which changes. Whether this change will help in maintenance of social order, whether this change is a prerequisite for governance, can't say. So number three also is not right. Okay. Number four partially corrected. As the real world relevant to the existence of human beings is in a state of perpetual flux. Till here, everything all right. Because the real world is always in a state of flux, attempting to study the same in a systematic manner would be meaningful despite reality itself having changed by them. So we should study it in a systematic manner. Now, systematic manner, the moment you say procedural manner, systematic manner, that means you are saying that a standard has to be set. But he does not believe in any standards because standards keep changing. Everything changes according to Herodox. So whether you have to study it in a systematic manner or in a procedure oriented manner, that is something which he will not agree. Only number five is going to be the answer. If you interpret number five, what does number five mean? There is no notion of time, space, invariant reality. Time and space are invariant, fixed. That is the reality. There is no such notion. That is what he's saying. He's saying it in a very convoluted way, but that is what he's saying. So the first statement in of the first sentence of option number five means that things are not fixed. Things are not fixed. Reality cannot be static. That is what he's trying to say. So there can be numerous realities across time and across human cultures and civilization as we adjust, adapt, as there is survival of the fittest. So the closest you will come to is number five. Question number nine, answer is five. Please take a look. Anything you did not understand, please ask. Okay. Number 10. Randomness has randomness has to be dealt with successfully to ensure a better control over one's life. Before one can deal effectively with randomness, one must acknowledge its existence. Okay. The above statement implies the following except. So what is not implied? Number two. No, not number four. Number two. If you acknowledge the existence of randomness, then you will be able to deal with it effectively. That is not always true. That is not always true. Okay. When he says everyone lives in a random world, he's generalizing it and he's saying we'll have a better control over one's life. That means he is talking about everyone. Number four can be implied. Number four can be implied. Number two is not implied. Okay. If you study hard, if you study hard, okay, you can become a top scorer. Now you have become a top scorer. Does that necessarily mean that you have studied hard? No. Or if you have studied hard, does that necessarily mean that you will become a top scorer? No. That is why number two is wrong. Number two cannot be implied. If one does not acknowledge the existence of randomness, one cannot deal with it effectively. Yes, implied. Before you can deal effectively with randomness, you must acknowledge its existence. That means without acknowledging, you are not going to be able to deal with it. Number five is implied, Avinash. But just because you have acknowledged randomness does not mean that you'll be able to deal with it. Okay? Are you getting the difference? Question number two, and option number two, this is what he's trying to say. For example, I told you, if you want to get good score, study hard. That does not mean that if you have a good score, you have studied hard. That also does not mean that if you study hard, you will necessarily get a good score. Okay? So for question number 10, answer is true. Take a look, please. Anybody has any doubt? Ask. Yes, it is like negating. Yes, absolutely. Right. So if we are through with all this, then let's come to the next 5 questions. Question number 11 to question number 15. Please take a look. Okay. 11 to 15. I think I'll give you 10-15 minutes. Please start. Okay. I believe you have completed this. So let us check. Question number 11 and 12 are from the same passage. He starts by telling you media are not just passive channels of information. Why? Because not only do they supply the stuff of thoughts, but they can also shape the process of thought. Okay. And what internet seems to be doing is it is chipping away our capacity for concentration. What is going to strengthen the argument presented above? Now, this is a question in which there were a lot of controversies. Why? Because the same passage, there are 2 questions, 11 and 12. In one question, the conclusion that we have to assume is something else. In the second question, the conclusion that we have to assume is something else. Because if in question number 11, if you think that the conclusion is the last line, that internet seems to be chipping away our capacity for concentration. So you can strengthen it by proving that yes, internet is actually taking away our capacity for concentration. That is how we can strengthen it. But problem is there is no option. There is no such option which proves that internet is really taking away our capacity for concentration. Then what to do? I don't know whether you face this problem or not. Okay. So what to do? Now what we'll have to do is we'll have to take a look at some other conclusion. Now the other conclusion is that media is not just passive channel of information. Media is not just a passive channel of information. Now media means what? Media means medium. Media does not just mean the newspaper reporters. Media means medium. Mediums are not just passive channels of information. Mediums are things like internet, things that allow you to do something. They are called mediums. We also call them media. Okay. So he's saying that media shapes your thought. Media supplies the stuff of thought. On that basis, if I take that as the conclusion, then number one has to be my answer. Okay. Number one has to be my answer, not number four. Number four should not be the answer. Number one should be the answer. Why? Because the typewriter is the media. Now, Nietzsche, what he did is Nietzsche started using a typewriter when he lost his vision. Now, it is the typewriter which is shaping his thought. After he mastered the machine, he could type with his eyes closed. It was later found that under the effect of the machine, that means the machine is now influencing, shaping his thought. Nietzsche's prose, it changed from arguments to aphorisms. It changed from thoughts to puns. It changed from rhetoric to telegram style. So you see lots of changes in the way in which he presents things to you after he started using the typewriter. And this change has been brought about by the machine. That machine is the media. Okay. So we see number one that yes, media has brought about change because earlier Nietzsche, he used to write arguments. But after he started using typewriters, he's writing aphorisms. Aphorisms, what are aphorisms? Aphorisms are pithy sayings. Okay. What is an aphorism? Aphorism is a pithy saying. Something like proverbs, proverbs, kahavatein, 1 and 1 makes 11. These are called aphorisms. Now, when he started using typewriters, then instead of presenting thoughts, he started using puns. You know what is a pun? Pun is when you use a word in such a way that uh, um, um, it is susceptible to two different interpretations. Okay, two different interpretations. So when I use the word in such a way that two different interpretations are possible, that is called a pun. Okay, how well are you going to live? How well are you going to live? Well, does that not depend on the liver? No, this is a pun. How well are you going to live? Does that not depend on the liver? Now, who's the
Music